Once upon a time, in the space between heaven and earth, a divine messenger served the god of life and death by guiding souls when their time on earth ended. One day, the god of death instructed the messenger to go to earth and bring back the soul of a woman whose time had come. The messenger obeyed, but when he arrived at her home, he saw something that broke his heart. 3 tiny baby girls, triplets, lying beside their lifeless mother. One was still nursing, unaware her mother was gone. Another cried until her voice cracked, and the third had cried herself to sleep, her cheeks stained with dried tears. Their father had passed away earlier, and no one else was there to care for them. The messenger stood in silence, overwhelmed with sorrow and unable to take their mother's soul. Instead, he returned to heaven and stood before the god of death. "I'm sorry," he said. "I could not do it. These 3 babies have no one. I couldn't leave them all alone." The god of death looked at him sternly and said, "You question the wisdom of the one who created all things? You think you know better than the one who sees the past, present, and future?" Then, as punishment, the god of death sent the messenger to earth to live as a human. "You may not return," he said, "until you laugh at your own foolishness 3 times." The messenger accepted the punishment, believing he had done the right thing. He was cast down to earth, cold and helpless, forgetting his divine powers. Not far from where he arrived, a poor cobbler was on his way to town to buy winter clothes for his children. On the roadside, he noticed the messenger shivering with nothing but rags to cover him. Feeling compassion, the cobbler used the little money he had to buy a warm blanket and some food instead of buying clothes for his children. He brought the messenger home, warning, "My wife may be angry, but we'll manage." As expected, his wife shouted in frustration for spending money on a stranger while their own kids were in need. Watching the situation unfold, the messenger laughed for the first time. The cobbler, surprised, asked, "Why are you laughing?" And the messenger replied, "I will explain after I've laughed 3 times." He laughed because the woman could only see what was lost, the money, without realizing that by helping the stranger, they had welcomed divine blessings into their home. Time passed, and the messenger learned the cobbler's trade quickly. Being divine, he became exceptionally skilled. The shoes he made were beautiful and unique, and soon people came from far and wide to buy them. One day, a royal servant came with rare leather and said, "Make a pair of shoes for the king, but not sandals, only shoes." In those times, it was tradition to bury the dead in sandals, not shoes. The cobbler warned the messenger, "There's only enough leather for 1 pair. Be careful. The king won't forgive a mistake." But somehow the messenger made sandals. The cobbler panicked. "You've doomed us. Why didn't you listen?" Just then the servant burst in. "Change of plans. The king has died. We need sandals for the burial." At that moment, the messenger laughed for the 2nd time. The cobbler stared in shock, realizing the messenger had somehow known the future. The messenger smiled and said, "We humans plan and worry, but only the Creator knows what lies ahead." He laughed because he saw how people try to control the future, but life unfolds in ways beyond our understanding. As more time passed, the messenger began thinking about the triplets again. He still wondered what had become of them, but his heart felt more at peace. One morning, 3 graceful young women walked into the cobbler's shop, laughing and joyful. They came to order shoes for their weddings, accompanied by an older woman. The messenger looked at them closely and instantly recognized them. They were the same triplets he once worried over. He asked the older woman, "Are these your daughters?" She smiled and said, "Not by birth. I found them as babies beside their dead mother. I had no children of my own, so I took them in and raised them. They grew up in love and wealth, and now all 3 are marrying into royal families." Hearing this, the messenger laughed for the 3rd and final time. He turned to the cobbler and said, Now I understand. I thought I was saving them, but life already had a better plan. My punishment is over." And with that, he returned to heaven, wiser and more humble than before. The story reminds us that what we see as tragedy or setback might just be a step in a greater plan. We often focus on what's going wrong, not realizing something better is unfolding behind the scenes. Sometimes our biggest problems today are just the beginning of tomorrow's blessings. Just like the messenger couldn't see the future of the triplets, we too can't see how things will work out. But they often do, in ways far better than we expected. So don't lose hope. Trust the journey, because even when it doesn't make sense, God has a plan for you.